Alafia, ETM Hotel, Jama and Boca. It's your boy, Shawn P in the building. Please like the show, share the show, tell a friend, we're live. Before we get going, man, I just wanted to shout out everybody who's actually picked up Spellmasters and what Sars Kofi taught me. Shout out to my brothers in the UK. There's been a couple of people who have copped the book over there in the UK, which it's available to be purchased. So, the link's in the description. Today we're going to get into we're going to get back to the real deal information. You know what I'm saying? Around the clock. I gotta build after this, and then we want to go ahead and get to this right here, and make sure that we're steadily advancing knowledge and not being discouraged, disheartened, or retarded. Nah, that's a bad word. Can't use that word. We're not being misinformed about history, historical context, and otherwise, no matter the subject matter. This is why methodology is always required. You can't, and I like to say this real quick, you can't argue an argument, or you can't argue against information you haven't studied yet. You can't make your argument and present it as an argument and then turn around and say, well, I'm studying the subject now. That's not how that works, because you've already displayed your biases in your research. So what's going to happen is your conclusion is going to be biased, because you've already came to a conclusion. So instead of approaching it correctly, you just put yourself in a position to where you can't argue it from intelligence, because it's all out of ignorance now. So before we get going, man, please like the show, share the show. It's only a couple of people in the building today, I see. That's what's up. We appreciate everybody tuning in. Robert Rand out there, Teddy. What up, Sandiata? I see this old redhead little boy in the building. I ain't gotta say his name. Fake King Tut. Talking about he relaxing today. It don't look like you relaxing to me. Look like you relaxing the front. Nah, man, for real. Like the show, share the show. Let's get into the bill. I see a couple people hopping in now. What up, Kimoyo? What's good? What up, Nunu? The business. What up with the business? I think Dr. Mahad went live too, so I'm gonna have to catch the replay or the ending of that show and then catch the beginning. But let me get my screen shared. Let's get into this. All right, so the name of this presentation is called The Way Toward Kimoyo, a cultural and traditional review of adding life to life, right? That's what this is. That's what it's about. Adding life to life. So let's go. Here's the outline for today. For years, African Americans who look to Africa have made numerous attempts to reacclimate themselves back to the traditional practices of old. In this journey back to restore what many call African traditional religions, a term defined by European geography pairing, the people have mixed and matched cultural and traditional practices from all over the continent of Africa. Today, we look to transition from Eurocentric Western imposed ideologies and dive a bit deeper into a cultural nuances of Kimoyo. All right. Reviewing a collection of data from Central and West Africa, along with written works regarding Kimoyo, shall help us understand the way. Just only a couple of research questions, just to kind of have things sit on the hearts and minds of people, and from there, encouragement into what's actually going on in the world. Since the 1900s, at a time when African Americans began to establish some sort of conscious connection back to the motherland, our worldview and focus has been shaped and defined by Europeans. Even when we look to Africa for guidance, socially, culturally, and emotionally, Western influences muddy the water so much so that it's hard to reconnect culturally without infusing non-African systems into some art form or practice. When we look to define African traditions from an African perspective, what we usually get are terms superimposed on Africans from Europeans who colonized the continent. I believe this also plays a part in the confusion and disconnect we have with the relevance of Kimoyo in our lives today and the assumption that all African traditions are the same. Defining Kimoyo, and I'm going to use Brother Asar and Fukia, of course, as a source. So Kimoyo, vitalism, the art of adding life to life. Kikongo, Moyo, heart, life, soul, spirit. Chaluba, Imoyo, heart, life, mind, soul, courage, will, desire, inclination, sense, mood, thought, salvation, greetings. Izulu, Imoyo, air, wind, breath, soul, spirit. Yoruba, Moye, to have power or perception, to be prudent, discreet, sagacious, judicious, skilled. For as long as Africans speak of traditions and culture, there is no escape from its past. Culture. So what is culture to you? When you think about it, what's actually culture? Right? I think as far as being an African American, what is culture for an African American? Right? Think about what I'm asking. What is culture for an African American? You go through so much, language, music, dance. What are what are African American rituals and rites of passages and things of that nature? Do you have that, or do you have parts of what makes a culture? And see, today it's commercialized. Culture is commercialized. As you can see, you have hip hop artists and R&B singers and such, talking about culture. You have, like, for instance, the rapping group, the Amigos, right? They talk about culture a lot, right? You know what I'm saying? You hear Dame Dash recently, after Jay-Z has said what he said about him being influential in making things happen for him and such. He says that's cool. He, doing it for the culture. See what I'm saying? Think about those things. So let's get into it. There's a substantial gap between primate society organized life in groups and fully developed human culture, which is based on symbolic thought. Nevertheless, studies of non-human primates reveal many similarities with humans, such as the ability to learn from experience and change behavior as a result. Apes and monkeys, like humans, learn throughout their lives. I want y'all to think about that because the other day on Science with Shawn, I said something significant about ancient hominids per se, and just not specifically primate driven, but ancient hominids per se that an understanding of burying their dead. They had an understanding for tool making, right? All of those things was influential. That's a part of their culture. The definition and meaning of culture are broad. You have values, beliefs, text about the beliefs and the ideas, multiple daily practices, aesthetic forms, systems of communications like languages, institutions of society, a variety of experiences that capture Africans' way of life, a metaphor to express political ideas, and the basis of ideology to bring about political and economic change. To many Africans, nature is understood in part as a religious agency. To talk about nature is to talk about culture. The complexity of past traditions, excuse my misspelling, is inscribed in the notion of contemporary modernity. Culture is that complex whole which includes knowledge, beliefs, arts, morals, laws, customs, and many other capabilities or habits acquired by man as a member of society. The crucial phrase here is acquired by man as a member of society. Tyler's definition focuses on the attributes that people acquire not through biological inheritance, but growing up in particular society where they are exposed to a specific cultural tradition. Cultures rather than culture, in a sense that conveys a misleading notion of homogeneous practices and values, is more appropriate in characterizing the diversity that is represented by Africa. With over 800 recognizable cultures and languages, we are confronted with various values, dialects, philosophies, and worldview. Modern Africa is divided into many countries, each at varying levels of political and economic development. Some countries are big, like Nigeria and Egypt. Some are poor. The ideologies of economic and political management have not been the same. They use a variety of European languages, and the ties that each country maintains with the outside world is partly influenced by European power that colonized it in the 20th century. In Africa and elsewhere, culture shapes the perception of self and the interactions between people and their environment. It explains habits such as why people respect old age, have many children, take care of their children, work hard, take to polygamy, and support male dominance. It justifies work ethics, for example, the desire for money without having to work for it. Excuse me. Gender division of labor and consumption of habits and accumulative styles. It defines norms of behavior such as inter and intra-generational relations, codes of conduct for holders of political offices, and the differences between gift giving and corruption. It defines boundaries among people, as in the case of gender roles or relations between the poor and the rich. As a means of communication, it enables understanding, and foreign languages imposed. It serves to consolidate domination. It is the basis of identity and ultimately of development. On the basis of cultural learning, people create, remember, and deal with ideas. They grasp and apply specific systems of symbolic meaning. Anthropologist Clifford Jitz defines culture as ideas based on cultural learning and symbols. Cultures have been characterized as a set of control mechanisms, plans, recipes, rules, instructions, what computer engineers call programs for the governing of behavior. Traditions. African traditions are expressed through music, art, dance, village life, village elders, sacred spaces, beadwork, masquerades, and rites of passages. These traditions are deeply rooted in the heart of African culture. Village elders. We hold in high esteem those who come before us and possess more experiences and wisdom. These are our elders. Our elders are fluent in the language of our ancestors and impart to us the knowledge on how to live and worship. They teach us all the prohibitions, violations, and remedies for our our communities. They are masters of rituals that will communicate to the spirits. Elders are our negotiators, moderators, and counselors. The village elders. The village life. The Mandinka, the land around the villages, as a concentric matrix. The village itself is called the places of houses. The peanut and millet fields surrounding the village in a banding range from about one half to one outer fringe of the peanut and millet fields. Beyond the rice fields is the forest. That's just basically giving you in context the way the village life is concentric matrix. There you go. Beadwork. In African traditions and culture, let me just go back real quick. When you're dealing with village life, there's many different mechanisms of village life to add. Sometimes and in some instances, village lives are orchestrated to point in a particular direction. It would also partake in being structured a particular way. It can be confined to the realm of some particular shrine. Uh, um, or model style things, you'll see those significant attributes in the village life and how they're designed to represent the whole of the entire village, and even those in the afterlife. Beadwork, you see, is essential in African traditions and customs. Whether you're Yoruba, you're dealing with the Ilike beads, and then the beadwork, of course, in Benin, right? And then other intricate pieces of not pieces, but parts of the continent, like among the Zulu, with those different colors meaning different things, especially for women when they make those beaded necklaces and things of that nature, or wristbands for men. The women make them for men, telling them something, or it's symbolizing their status in the society, whether they are married or single, or whether they got other intricate things that are actually going on, right? But beadwork in Benin is pretty much like a status symbol, right? Coral beads have a unique symbolism to many tribes in Africa, yet few have adopted these beads into their culture quite as literally as in the Benini people of Benin. They are customarily worn for both marriage and funeral rites, but also an indication of social standing and power among clan chiefs. And you have waist beads as well, which also have intricate meaning among Africans. But in the diaspora, we see these beads. They don't have that same similar meaning. Some use it as a quote unquote a part of their dress. So it's more about style than the cultural and traditional nuances of what those things actually represent. Not in all cases, but in some. Masquerades. The ambivalent attitude of the Yoruba toward the earth goddess underscores the potential explosive nature of male-female relations in a male-dominated society, and the necessity for excreting tact and diplomacy. The Galede Society elaborates upon the Yagbani paradigm of Omo Iya in an attempt to sensitize Mother Nature, or Iya Inle, to the problems of her children, to remind women of their maternal responsibilities and encourage all members of a given community to love and interact with one another like children of the same mother. Now, we see masquerades all throughout the continent. The Zulu, uh, any part of the Congo you go, Kenya, uh, many other East African nations, even in Kemet, Of course, you're going to see them in West Africa throughout these masquerades. And they represent things, right? They represent the deities at times. They're representing the women at times. They're representing the birth of a child. They're representing marriage. You have marriage, you have when they're related to marriage stuff, but you got all kind of things that are going on within these masquerades that speaks to the totality of the people in which it serves. Sacred places all over the continent. Even after the sacred places, when missionaries were destroying sacred places, they were still in existence, especially in the bush areas, or when Islam was trying to shun those things, they were still being erected in places that were not heavily influenced by Islam. However, we still see a lot of sacred places along West Africa, West and Central Africa per se, and even East and Northeast Africa. So, and South. So, shout out to all the sacred places. In most villages, for instance, in this example, in West Africa, among the Akan, we have two gates. The west gate of the village is a gate of daily departure and entry. The east gate is the gate for our ancestors, for those who leave or return from a journey, and for the passage of a funeral procession. We make sacrifices at the east gate and often offer kola nuts, food, and special stone objects. The image that I have to the right of you is among the Tongue Nab. Among the Tongue Nab people, this is where they offer their sacrifices to their god, known as Tongue Nab. The people that I always mess their name up, but Tanzania. All right. Rites of passages, something that has been uniquely studied in African traditions and culture among all the people, right? No matter where you go, you can pull up if it's that time of the year, whether you're going through Cameroon. Dr. Ma got the experience of pretty much a rites of passage and a naming ceremony, right? Some things I did leave out of this because I didn't want to get too off track here, but there's a reason why I did it, and I'll tell you at the end. But rites of passage, our children experience their initiation into adulthood just before or after puberty, when they are taught about their social and spiritual responsibilities in men and women. Initiations into manhood or womanhood usually include circumcision. That's a fact. Now, in some parts of the world, and some parts of Africa, they're no longer circumcising the females. Some parts they are. They still are. They uphold the traditionals of old. Some people have modernized their rites of passages. However, it is what it is. Art. Man, African art is a big deal. It's a big deal, so much so that during the enslavement and the colonization of the continent, they made it their business to confiscate African art, from masks, steles in ancient Kemet, headdresses, cloths like the kente cloths, all whatever could be designed artistically, right, was confiscated. Little statues that represented, some form of life for people in their community, all of that. But at the core of the Ajagam artistic phenomenon, we find men and women involved in continuous, intensely spirited, brilliant play. The propelling force of the culture, hidden by some of the densest forests in West Africa, is a conscious choice to create objects and sequences of human motion through their playful application of vision and intelligence. If you're not following the gist of what I'm doing, I am specifically walking you around certain parts of West and Central Africa on purpose. And giving you examples of the people. See, I've mentioned the Ajagam. I done went to the Yoruba. We spots of the Akan, the Tongue Nab. The Talisi people. We all over right there. Now, music and dance. Come on now. Y'all know how Africans get down. When them drums come on, when that thump get to playing, you know what I'm saying? We even hear about this on the slave ships, right? We hear about this when they get here. But when that drum come on and they get to playing, no matter what's going on, it's on and popping. Even when they work, music and dance is instrumental in Africans' ability to do their job in the fields or in the community or in the village life, no matter what it is. Music is a huge part. So music and dance are the universal languages of spirit, communicating its poetry through celebrations, ritual initiations, and healing. With our instruments and movements, we express our joy and our sorrow. When we sing, dance, and drum, we become in tune with the harmonious vibrations of the universe. Repetitions of the rhythms become our mantras. The way, my conclusion. No state, not even an infant one, is willing to appear before the world as a bare political frame. Each would be clothed in a cultural garb symbolic of its aims and ideal beings. At the heart of Kimoyo lies culture and traditions which are rooted in all of Africa. This inseparable relationship embodies the worldview of early Homo sapiens sapiens. The ritualistic aspect of the village and village life from south to central, central to east, east to west, Africa has deeply impacted the people. This interconnectedness that adds life to life, which vitalizes the heart of African Africans, is clearly explained in its traditional practices. Don't be trying to use this right here as a quote or a Facebook post that y'all want to put up and not tag my name. Cause I know how some people get. You want to screenshot it and put it up and not give me my credit. This all me. Kofi argues in Beautiful Lessons of Kimoyo that early man in Africa created Kimoyo as a way to not only explain the natural world, but all things in the universe are a part of a whole. Also, there is no difference between sacred and non-sacred. So through culture and traditions, the way is best described as a way to continue adding life to life as existence continues to exist. So the cultural and traditional impact of Kimoyo continues to be significant till this day, even in the face of colonialism, surviving in part two Holocausts and infusing the foreign worldviews that impose its ideology on Africans. The significance has been paramount as traditions handed down and certain cultural norms have been demonized by Christian Arab missionaries who for the past few hundred years forced negative perceptions regarding Kimoyo. In closing, the battle for holistically keeping one's culture and traditions intact has faltered in part due to a political and religious ploy to undermine African worldview. In small parts of Africa, we can see certain customs have remained whole, although they are few, far, and in between. We have an opportunity to see how early man advanced the meaning of adding life to life. Here are my sources. You can pause the video, screenshot the video, get busy. Additional sources. Now, some of the images that I used are in the links that I have below. Please go get your copy of Spearmasters and what SARS-CoV-2 taught me. Also, go to familyconnectedapparel.com and pick up you some gear. Get your merch. They make excuses, and we just keep producing. We've added more books to this list right here. Over 20-some publications and counting. All right, so just wanted to stop by and bring you a quick little 30-minute presentation to keep your minds and hearts on Africa. I know there's been a lot of confusions and misinformation or misrepresentation of information regarding Africans' participation in the slave trade and or other avenues or areas of ignorance that has been imposed without any cultural understanding. Therefore, I just wanted to remember why we even look back, why are we even entrenched in, why are we even care to know, right? Because a lot of people have historical amnesia. That's something that Dr. Amos Wilson talks about. By the way, Concrete, that's one of your favorite authors or favorite people. And he's actually referring to you in the book, by the way. But you should get that if you don't have it. It's the Green Book. But anyway, I do like to thank everybody for tuning in. I am going to keep this bite size because I am going to be on Science with Shawn within the hour, and I got some stuff that I want to walk through dealing with. Uh, yeah, that science stuff over there, that old COVID again, and breakthrough infections and all that kind of stuff. So I appreciate every last one of you for tuning in. Those of you who even came in late. This is bite sized. It's only going to be about 25, 30 minutes of your time. You digest this, rewatch it, and capture the information that's within it. Yeah, it looks like it's not a lot of not a lot of time, but there's a lot of information. So I do appreciate everybody for tuning in. Again, don't forget to like the show, share the show, subscribe to the channel, tell a friend, tell a friend. We're trying to build a channel up. Don't leave us stuck where we are. I mean, slow grind better than no grind, but man, we keep on trying to bring forth this information. So again, I look forward to seeing most of you on Science with Shawn within the hour.